Welcome. My name's Arna, and today I am going to be going over processing a placeholder club using the Active Club wizard. Now, what on earth is a placeholder club? A placeholder club is a kind of member choice allocation club. A member choice allocation club allows club members to select their own items. Placeholders extends this that you can use abstract items for choice. Abstract items are then linked to actual products when it comes to the club runtime. So you can plan ahead as far as you want in time. The club manager can also pre-select items for each customer, and these limits and restrictions can be applied to those. Now, placeholder clubs render it possible to plan selection club allocations before actual inventory is assigned. And this is handy for clubs that have reusability. For example, a member might want a particular wine type that you provide in perpetuity. So they want this to go on and on and on without any end. So you're not restricted to have to select every time there's a club run. Also, this is useful in clubs where the demand is greater than the supply, where you have yearly allotments, where there are some clubs where when you join, you will plan out an entire year's worth of allotments. Loyalty clubs and sommelier-based clubs. All of these can be using the placeholder technique, which I will now show you. Now, in our video example, we created 4 different clubs, one for each of the seasons. Let me show you how that's configured. So here's a website, and we have 4 buttons, one for winter, spring, and summer, and fall. So this is what the winter club looks like, and the spring club, and let's have a quick look at the autumn club. Now, with each one of these clubs, we have created 3 selections for them to choose from to keep things simple. And then we're going to pre-configure each club with one selection which is pre-selected for them. So back to our website, if I go to spring and I log in here, nothing has been pre-selected as of yet. So let me log in. So these are the 3 choices that I have. And if I go to one of the others, we'll look at autumn. And I'll log in again. You'll see there are 3 different wines available for choosing. Okay. Now, how do you make a placeholder? We thought we'd show you that. So hop back to Active Club. Let's open up the inventory window, expand this out. So these are all my inventory items. Let me sort these. And let's say I wanted to make a Meritage placeholder. I'm going to click on New Item, and I'm going to copy an existing wine of the same type as the placeholder, and I do that so that I will get in, for example, the wine specs and the notes. Even pricing will come in. And then I would set this one field here to placeholder. Let me highlight that. That's what differentiates a placeholder from other inventory, is just that small switch. And then you would change the name to be something more generic. Certainly doesn't have a vintage when it's a placeholder. And save it. So we've now created a placeholder. I'm now going to pick a search, which is a search of all our placeholders. This is the one we just created, which I'm going to remove, just a duplicate one I already have. So these are my 9 placeholders that I have created so far. And notice they all have a price, which is an estimate of what the price is going to be when it is eventually linked to an inventory item. So that's creating a placeholder. Now, Active has 17 recommended steps for running these placeholder clubs. And this demonstration will use the Club Wizard to walk you through each one of these steps. Now, Active does allow you to run placeholder clubs outside of the wizard when you become more familiar with the system. But the wizard is a good way, even if you're familiar with the system, to run placeholder clubs. Let's have a look at what placeholder clubs look like in the wizard. So I'm going to open up the wizard window, and I've created 4 already, 1 for each one of these seasons. So let me open up this one here. This is the winter one. And you can see that it's been defined as a placeholder club. The same with the spring club, the summer club, and the autumn club, all defined as a placeholder. And you can see they all have 17 steps, none of which have been completed so far. So let's go for the spring club. Go back to our list. The first thing we do is to assign Web User IDs to all our VIP club members, which is the club that we're talking about, that do not already have a Web User ID. This enables them to log in to your website and make changes wherever appropriate. So let's go back to the wizard and do that. So I click on the button at the bottom here, Assign Web User ID, and it's running, and it's already completed. So we've done that step. The next step is to create a selection package. This is the package that we're going to distribute to each customer's selections for the 4 different clubs, which in this case we've given season names. So I'll show you how that works. So when I open this up, it opens a window, and here is the package that I'm creating. And I'm just putting into the spring, I'm putting 4 bottles of Meritage. It's already been done. Let's have a look at winter. Winter, I put in 2 bottles of cab. Let's have a look at summer. I'm going through each one of these wizard setups here. I've already pre-configured the PT Syrah for that. And let's have a look at autumn. This one was not done, so let's assume that I wanted to put the Pinot Noir on there. I'll just click it, and that will be ready for the Autumn Club. Let's go back to spring. And let's declare this step done. I'm going to click Update Package, and now it's set that to completed. Let's move to our next step. The next step is the placeholder pricing. The prices are estimates until they're actually linked, but because they're visible on the website, you do want to make sure that your pricing is realistic. So going back to our website, when I go to my spring here and I log in, I'm going to be presented with these selections that have prices on them, yet they aren't real inventory yet. So back in my wizard steps, let's set the pricing. So these are all the placeholders. My spring one is going to be the Meritage, which is set as 36, the Merlot, which is set at 40, and the Syrah, which is set at 34. So I'm going to change the Syrah to 44. Update that, and we'll set that step as completed. Now watch what happens on the website. I'll need to log out, log back in. And you can see that the Syrah is now $44. Okay, back to our step list. So the next step is everything we've been doing up to now is pre-release work. We are now in a actual club release phase, and we want to assign these placeholder selections to our customers. So let's see how that works. I'm going to bring up the customer window, and we have no customers that have any product selections yet. So here I'm going to click on the button, and I am going to pick that it's the Spring Club. And I have a choice here whether I want to remove or add to existing selections. I will, as there are none, and it doesn't make any difference, but I'm going to click it. And here we will now see that for these customers, they have all these pre-selected Meritage in the spring. You can see here the spring. And what I want to do is I want to do one of these for winter, let's say, to show you. I'm going to do the same step for winter. We'll pick here winter and hit OK. And then watch on that window on the left, you'll see now we have both winter and spring selections assigned to our customers. Going back to the website, have a look at spring. log in. And you can see that this time it took me straight to the detail of my selections with the prices. And I can add more. Let's say I wanted to add a Merlot. I can then save this. Let's go back to Active Club and see what's happened. I'm going to close the wizard window so we can see this window here. And you can see that I need to sort that Charlie now has the Meritage that we originally selected or put pre-selected for him, and he added one Merlot for the spring shipment. Back on the website, if I was to change this quantity to 2 and hit Save Choices, you'll see now that he has 2 of the Merlot and 4 of the Meritage. We also did winter, just to show you what that looks like. Back here, go to winter. And it's going to show that I have one item already pre-selected for me, which is the cab. Okay. Back to our steps. Back to the pre-release phase. I now need to, step 5 is to assign what inventory is linked to these placeholders. Let me bring my wizard back up. And I'm going to click on that step. And here are all my placeholders. And I'm interested in the Meritage. So we need to attach this to something that is a real product. And type an M in here. There's a Meritage. I'm going to take that out of the Napa Valley tasting room, update that, and then the next one we're going to do is the Merlot, which is part of that choice. Let's pick a Merlot, this one, pick it out of the Napa Valley tasting room, and hit update. And the last is the Syrah. Let's get a Syrah to go with it. Would be this one here, the Napa Valley tasting room. Update that, and that step is now completed. Again, I'm going to close the wizard so you can see what is happening here in the inventory window. Over here on the right, you'll see those linkages that we just made. Let's go back to our steps. The next step is to send an email confirmation of these orders. And this is an individual email everyone gets in the club that has a link to the website, and they can make changes as they feel appropriate. Let me bring back my Spring Wizard And we are now on send the confirmation email step. So these are the two templates available for that, a shipment and a pickup. And this is what those templates look like. To get a real feel for it, let's do a sample of a shipment one. Run it. It's saying that it will be in my inbox shortly. This is the pickup one here. Let's hop over to our inbox. There is that sample for those that are receiving a shipment. And you'll notice that it does provide a price for shipping too. Go back to manager, and we'll do that for real. Send the email confirmation. You can see it is currently running. Now, I happen to be a member of this VIP club, so I shall be getting an email here shortly, which is not, in fact, a sample. Coming in any minute. Oh, second. There it is. So this is me as a customer. There's the email. I can click on the link. It'll take me to this website we've been looking at before. And I can make any changes that I want to. Okay. What's our next step? That is to validate the shipping addresses. There could have been changes made during step 6. So we want to validate these shipping addresses before we move on. So that's step 7, and I'm just going to push the button validate. It's going to go into the server room and run it. You can see there in yellow. It's now completed, so that step's over with. Now let's hit the next step in our list. Step 8 is the update the empty box packages. We use these empty boxes when determining the discount levels based on the quantities. So we have boxes from 1 to 12, or whatever your setup is. It's very customizable. There are much more sophisticated discount techniques than this. This is the most simple one. Let me show you how this works. So these are all our packages. So if we have a 12 bottle, you'll see they got a 20% discount with an 80% shipping discount. And if we go with the 4 bottle, the 20% with no shipping discount. And a 3 bottle, 15%, and so on. So here's where you would set these discounts up. And we're going to say, step done. Let's move to the next step. Step 9, which is the update of the sales tax rates and codes for our customers that live in destination tax states. This is where the tax rate is determined by the address that it's shipping to. This has been isolated as a special step so that you can take the appropriate action if you've got any trouble with this, because this is obviously important to get the correct tax rates. So let's go back to our wizard and we're just going to click Update the sales tax rates. It's going to go running here in the background, and it's already completed. That's our next step. Next step is to actually create our orders. Finally, we got to the order creation step. So here I will simply click on Create Transactions. And it is waiting. Now it's running. Transactions are created with weather reports, and they talk to Ship Compliant, they talk to the carriers. There's a lot of work going on when those are created. So let's have a look at the results of that. I'm going to expand this window out so we can see everything. So here are my transactions, and we need to verify these, which is our next step. We need to verify these transactions don't contain any errors. And we're double checking the shipping and handling, the discounts, and the sales taxes. So let's go back and examine here. So these are all my discounts. I can see that there's a 10 and a 20. This is because they were 4 bottles. I don't know why this one here has got 50%, but we will check that out. The actual shipping charges have been charged, so we've got no problems with the shipping carrier. And all our tax rates are set. I can see no zeros there. Let's examine that one that has a 50% rate. Just double click on it. And you can see here the reason why they have 100% discount on shipping. And I'm going to pop over to the Customer tab, see if it's defined as part of the customer record. And it is. You can see they have been given special discount rate for shipping. So we can declare this to be validated, and we're on to the next step, which is to charge the cards. That's always fun. That's the best part of this. So I'm just going to click Charge Cards, and it is currently running. Now finished. Let's go back and click on that step and go to transactions. You can see we have 4 successes and 4 failures. Okay. So we are on to the next step, which is to print our labels. The labels, when we print them, will be by the carrier that you're printing labels for. So we're going to go with FedEx, since you can see they are all FedEx. We're going to go with the Zebra printer, a FedEx formatted label, of which there are many, and pick the appropriate printer for this, and then print the labels. There we have it. So it now has done the printing. There is user action here. So we have 4 that did not print because there was they were not charged. Let's go back to our list of things to do. The next step is step 14, which is to send out the receipts. So let's send receipts. These are the samples. You can have receipts for pickup, UPS, and for each one of the carriers. This is the FedEx one. Let's send ourselves a sample FedEx one. So that will contain the tracking link. Here it comes. Here we have the link to push. There's the actual tracking number and the total order. Back to manager. And we will send out all our receipts. So again, it is waiting, now it's running, and it's complete. Go back to our list of things to do. The next is step 15, which is to send a bad credit card letter to those whose card were declined. And this has a link in it for them to log in and modify their credit card number or address. Let's have a look at this stage. So here we are. Again, we have one and only one template for this one. This is the bad credit card template. And I believe my credit card failed. So I should receive one of these when we actually send them out. Let me do a sample. Here's a sample coming. Here it is. It up and see what that looks like. And again, it has the link to log into your account and the reason why the card failed and the card number. Now, let's push the button to send them out for real. And it is waiting. Now it is running. And that's done. I'll go back to our list. So essentially, we are now finished with our club run. We just have all these declines to deal with. But a bit of house cleaning is step 16, which allows you to delete all these pending selections that we added to the customer records. For reusable clubs, you do not want to execute this. This is a step you would skip. And you can actually modify the steps so that this step doesn't appear if that is the case. But let me show you what it does. I'm going to make my window smaller again. And I'm on this step. You see over here the customer window, you've got all the spring selections. If I was to run this one and agree to it, now I'm down to nothing but winter selections. It removed the spring selections. Again, that's something you don't want to use if you want to reuse these placeholders, which is, after all, one of the major benefits of using that in the first place. The next step is to update the transaction credit cards. The customers will have gone to the website. They might have gone to the tasting room and paid for the order there, swiping a new card, which updates the account, the credit card on file. They might have called in. But there are numerous ways that they are being changed, and by clicking on this command here, it will run through and see if there are any changes. Push the wrong one, this one. Run through if there are any changes, and it didn't find any, because obviously there's only been 5 minutes, but that would then update the credit cards that you have on file for these transactions. You could go back to this credit card step and rerun charging the cards. You can rerun printing the labels. You can rerun sending the receipts, and it will only send the receipts on those that have not already received a receipt. I can show you that here by clicking over to the transactions, and you can see that, oh, this is the wrong step. I want the send receipt step. Click on transactions, and you can see here who has received a receipt and who has not. So it knows who not to repeat the receipt to. So that's the wizard. Now, the interesting thing about placeholder clubs is you can create these wizard runs that are defined and refined to the point where every time you want to run one of these clubs, all you have to do is do the assignments as to what the inventory is and rerun the same process again. So let me give you an example. This is a club we just ran, which is the Spring Club. And you can see all these completed steps. So let's assume all the declines are taken care of, all the user actions are taken care of, and we are ready to do this a year from now. I can just click Clear Completed, and this whole club is back to having never been executed before. And we can just reuse it. So not only can you reuse the placeholders, you can reuse the wizard club run as well. Thank you for coming to this show. I hope it was helpful explaining placeholders. And until the next time, thank you very much.